It's when you step into uncharted territory, when you step into something new, something different that you haven't done before, you're probably going to feel very excited, very enthused, very encouraged at the initial thought of this. Then what's going to happen is that imposter syndrome is going to rear its ugly head. I know you're thinking, yes, it's happened to me. You're probably thinking a few instances. Maybe you're going through that right now. The best way to overcome this, and while I want to paint the reality of the situation, I want to paint the common thing that we go through as humans, there is a solution. And that solution is, my friend, you must change your identity. Your identity is this invisible force. It's how you see yourself interacting with your world. When you step into something new, your identity hasn't followed yet. That's why you feel like an imposter to begin with. But the good news is you can overcome that by changing your identity. There's 3 different tactics I'm going to showcase how.
Welcome to the Fitness CEO Podcast.
How to overcome your imposter syndrome. My friend, this is real. You felt like an imposter. You certainly will feel like an imposter at some point in your growth journey. I've done the same. And today we're going to unpack this amazing episode to teach you the one strategy with a few tactics to overcome this so you can be the best version of you, which is the goal today. And if you're new to the show, my name is Bryce Henson, your fitness CEO. And unpacking this and putting this episode together, I was thinking back on my journey as a business owner and really the journey of professional growth and development and self-mastery. And there's been many times throughout my journey that I felt like an imposter, which is just a common aspect and a common thing in your personal growth journey. So I really want to start there by normalizing it, thinking and really expressing to you that if you felt like an imposter, or when you do feel like an imposter, when you step into uncharted territory, that is natural. That is okay. Nothing is wrong with you. It's just part of the growth process. And for me, I'm the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp, which is a 8-figure international fitness franchise. But long before that, I was a young dude growing up in the Midwest, coming from very humble beginnings. We used to run out of money before we used to run out of a month. In fact, fitness was not my forte. I joke around with my family and friends that I was allergic to lifting weights. Fast food, and specifically Taco Bell, was the staple of my diet. So friends, if I can have overcome a lot of these obstacles, you certainly can too. And when I moved to Los Angeles back in 2004, I was excited to be in California, the palm trees, the blue skies, the beaches, all that California and specifically LA has to offer. But being very candid with you, I had more dark days than good, at least for the first couple years. And there's a wide variety of reasons for this. Number one, moving 3,000 miles from home when you're 21 years young, I was homesick, and I didn't have professional skills. I didn't have people and connecting skills. I didn't have a lot to offer, but most importantly, I didn't have fitness and fat loss or fitness and confidence in my life. And really, confidence is derivative from the fitness and the personal growth that I've been able to, go through. And I lived that way for a couple years, and a fortuitous situation happened. One of my best friends from college, his name was Adam. He moved out west. And a little bit about Adam: he was my first fitness mentor, my unofficial first personal trainer. And the 6-pack abs, the glistening muscles, all the girls loved him. I certainly looked up to that, and I wanted to get fit. And after we lived together for a few months, it was about 2 years in total, but for a few months, I finally mustered up enough courage to say, Adam, can you teach me a little bit about this fitness game? And he turns to me and he's like, Bryce, I thought you'd never ask. But while he obliged, he said, this is how we're going to do things. I want you to commit for at least 90 days that you're going to follow my program. You're going to do everything I want you to do. You're going to lift the weights that I want you to lift. You're going to eat what I want you to eat, because you know this to be true. How many guys in college, ask me, hey, Adam, can you help me with their fitness? And how many actually stuck with it? Very few, virtually none. So he didn't want to waste my time or his time. And I'm so glad he was able to really make me commit to that, because after we started the fitness journey, guess what? The first week or two, I was fired up. I was excited. I was ready to go. But then the reality sets in that I'm sore. I don't know what I'm doing. This is hurtful. I feel uncomfortable. My muscles are sore. I can barely sit down to go to the bathroom. Not a fun experience. But what's even worse, I felt like an imposter going into the gym, and thankfully he was there for some guidance and support. But there was these big guys, lean guys, jack guys, and I was this, small guy. I was soft around the edges, but, very underdeveloped from a muscle perspective. And I just felt I shouldn't be there. I felt I didn't belong. I felt like an imposter. That's the reality of the situation. But thankfully, I kept on putting one foot in front of the other. I tapped into Adam's coaching and his guidance, and 1 week turned into 2 to 3. And before you know it, 90 days had gone by. And did I get the physique that I was absolutely looking for in 90 days? No. but it gave me motivation and excitement, enthusiasm, because I started making progress. In the famous words of Tony Robbins, progress equals motivation. So that really helped me along my way. And really, I trained with Adam for a period of 2 years, but about 6 months in is when I look back and I dropped 20 pounds of body fat. I put 20 pounds of lean muscle, and I became a really, really fit dude in 6 months. In 90 days, I was starting to see some good progress, but in 6 months, I rapidly changed my physique and I became a new man. And that was really, really inspiring. And that was my first sense that, wow, I can do something big and challenging. But then guess what? As I went through the journey, about 2 years in, the second period of time that I experienced some imposter syndrome was I was working out, lifting weights, and some guy walks up to me and introduced himself to me at the gym. And he started asking me questions about how I lift weights and how I eat. And this light bulb went on, like, oh my goodness, like, what if I could give this gift of fitness back to others and train him or other clients in the nights and weekends, just like Adam did for me. And on one hand, I was super, super excited and I was energetic and fired up. But guess what? On the other hand, the reality set in, the imposter syndrome flared again, and this little internal critic, or the voice in my head, which I know to be an imposter syndrome, said, "Who are you, Bryce? Yeah, you've gotten fit, but who are you to actually coach other people to fitness and fat loss results?" So this imposter syndrome showed its ugly head again. But you know what? I took a step back and I said, you know what? I need to learn a little bit more about fitness and fat loss and nutrition. So I started my personal training journey, and I got certified through National Academy of Sports Medicine, our partner to today. And going through that journey, it gave me more confidence. It gave me more authority. It gave me more institutional knowledge on how to train clients and get them better results. And I ended up starting a coaching business. I enlisted some people on the nights and weekends, and I started taking action. It was uncomfortable. It was awkward at first, but I leaned into my training. I leaned into my, research and study, and I was able to really get some clients some great results. And I took a step back and said, "Hey, I got this." So that was my second, battle with imposter syndrome. That initially I was excited, but then I got concerned. But then I took action. I gained more knowledge and influence, and then became a very successful personal trainer. But the imposter syndrome didn't leave me for sure at that point, because shortly thereafter, I started receiving ads from this gentleman named Bedros Keuilian, who to be the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp, who's my business partner and a frequently attended guest on this particular podcast, the Fitness CEO Podcast. And Bedros, was talking about his content about how to launch a personal training business, how to grow a personal training business, how to get your clients better results, and really how to be a fitness business owner, not just a coach, not just a personal trainer that help people on the nights and weekends, to actually own a full brick and mortar facility. It dawned on me, wow, what if I could do that? I've learned to be fit. I've learned how to become a coach myself and train some people to some great results. But what if I can actually launch a gym, build a community of people that are excited and really can deliver amazing results and better their lives? So I was excited on one hand, but guess what, my friend? The imposter syndrome started to rear its ugly head again. Who are you, Bryce, that you can actually launch a successful fitness business? It's one thing to get fit. It's another thing to become a coach. It's a completely other thing to own your own brick and mortar facility and be able to launch a community of people that are interested and need your help with fitness and fat loss. So that imposter syndrome reared its ugly head again. But you guessed it. Thankfully, I decided to partner with Fit Body Bootcamp, partner with Bedros, partner with the brand, and decided to launch my first location in Yorba Linda, California, which is a sleepy little town in Orange County near Disneyland, back in November of 2012. And there was a lot of lowlights and learning lessons in the process, but there were a lot of amazing highlights. And I put one foot in front of the other. And from the years of 2012 to 2018, ended up scaling to 5 locations, made it a family affair, brought my wife, my brother, my mom, my sister on board. It was an incredible run, and so grateful for those years. And I look back and, again, it's the same formula. I get excited. I get really fired up. I see a vision, but then the imposter syndrome sticks in. but then I take action, I create some support network, I prove to myself I can do this, and then I find some success. And that's exactly what happened, which then led me to getting a call from Bedros, speaking of Bedros, in 2018. And at that point, the Fit Body Bootcamp brand was really starting to hockey stick in terms of exponential growth. And he reached out to me wanting more owner knowledge, more institutional knowledge to help shape and guide the brand. And he offered me the vice president role. And you guessed it, my friend. On one hand, I was grateful. I was humbled. I was super excited. I had this vision of, elevating myself, elevating my career, really supporting the Fit Body Bootcamp brand from a vice president role, and a very, very unique and very grateful opportunity to step into. And while I was excited on one hand, guess what? The imposter syndrome reared its ugly head again and said to me, Bryce, who are you to think you can be the vice president of an international fitness, 8-figure fitness franchise? Yeah, you've gotten fit. Yeah, you've become a coach. Yeah, you know how to launch and grow a successful gym, but do you know how to become a vice president of an international fitness program? And I thought to myself, no, I don't know how to do that. But then I look back at my experience and I said, hey, I don't know exactly all the details. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to latch on the support of Bedros and the HQ team and really invest myself to become a better leader, a guide, and a mentor. And that's exactly what I did. And in June of 2018, I made the decision to accept the position. I started as the VP, and it was an incredible ride. And there were certainly challenges and obstacles, just like there is in life, which is a symptom of being a human. It's a symptom of being live, but did some incredible things, built an incredible infrastructure, the coaching and profitability team, elite trainings, upscaled and improved our world conference, did so many things, was able to overcome COVID, okay? Literally the lockdowns, the crazy government lockdowns, by shutting our businesses down in a brick and mortar facility, and on the back of my team and the support system of Bedros and all of our HQ team and franchise partners, was able to build infrastructure and come out of that clean on the other side. And just very, very grateful for the opportunity. So again, excited, but then also the imposter syndrome shows up. Decided to take the leap of faith, take action, and build some success. And that's exactly what happened, which leads me to the next point in my story where imposter syndrome reared its ugly head. And you guessed it. If you're watching this podcast right now, this is what I'm talking about, the initiative to launch what would become the Fitness CEO Podcast. Initially was launched under the Fitness Franchise Podcast. And I had this vision of being able to, add more value to my global community, teach, business and personal growth and self-mastery and personal development, and also some business concepts to empower people, fitness people that want to have a passion for, creating passion-based fitness business that could help other people. So I had this vision. I knew the success that could come of it. But guess what? After I pitched my team, I got Bedros' buy-in. I realized, I have no idea how to run a podcast. I've never interviewed someone before on film. I haven't created content like this in this particular fashion. I've never stared down the barrel of a camera like I'm doing right now. Who are you, Bryce Henson, to think that you can actually execute and be a host of a podcast? The imposter syndrome rear its ugly head again. And certainly I had some doubts, as we all do when we're stepping into uncharted territory, but decided to put one foot in front of the other. Did some findings in terms of learning from some successful podcasters on how to launch a podcast, how to create the maximum value for my audience. And we ended up launching in April of 2021. And it's been an incredible ride. In fact, on YouTube, we just crossed our 1 millionth view. We have many more in terms of just the general podcast download. And just in a very short period of time, I've learned how to get on camera, how to teach messaging, how to create content, how to bring on a guest and add more value, ask some good questions. I had some big, awesome guests on the show, which has been absolutely incredible. Phil Heath, the 7-time Mr. Olympia champion, literally friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger and The Rock. Just an episode just got released. Sean Stevenson, who's an expert in fitness and has the most successful fitness and health show on the planet, the Model Health Show, has been featured here. Wes Watson, used to be a criminal, now is probably the most famous and successful criminal on the planet by helping other people with fitness and fat loss and mindset. These are just a few of the guests and more that we've been able to bring on the show and add more value. But again, when I launched it, I was excited, but this internal fear and doubt reared its ugly head, was we know to be true, called the imposter syndrome, but thankfully took action and then have been successful, which leads to my last point in my story. When I look back at my journey here, as a Fit Body Bootcamp owner and coach, and now the CEO of the brand, which later in 2021, after our podcast launched, Bedros made the decision as his business was growing that he wanted to pass the reins to me to be the CEO of this international fitness franchise that we know as Fit Body Bootcamp. And as you would imagine, the conversations happened many months prior to me being awarded the position, but I was excited. I knew in my heart of hearts, I always knew I was going to be successful. I want to be a strong leader, to lead a company, add value to the marketplace, really take care of my team, and really support our clients. I always knew I had this burning desire, but when the opportunity was given to me in very dramatic and very awesome fashion at a world conference in 2021 in Scottsdale, Arizona, I was over the moon. I was elated, but I went to my bed that night, and the reality of the situation set in, that I have the weight of this international fitness franchise on my shoulders. Who are you, Bryce? Yeah, you've gotten fit. Yeah, you've learned how to be a coach. Yeah, you've learned how to launch a successful gym. Yes, you've been able to scale to a handful of locations. Yes, you've become the vice president of an international fitness franchise. Yes, you've launched your own podcast and done really well. But who are you to think that you can be the chief executive officer for the international fitness franchise with hundreds of locations throughout North America? Who are you, Bryce Henson? And my friends, that is just the imposter syndrome rearing its ugly head at every step of the way. So I share this with you because these are just a few of many times in my life that I've felt like an imposter, and there's a commonality of this, okay? It's when you step into uncharted territory, when you step into something new, something different that you haven't done before, you're probably going to feel very excited, very enthused, very encouraged at the initial thought of this. Then what's going to happen is that imposter syndrome is going to rear its ugly head. I know you're thinking, yes, it's happened to me. You're probably thinking a few instances. Maybe you're going through that right now. Or maybe when you launch your fitness business, when you launch your Fit Body Bootcamp location, you're also going to feel that way. And that's just normal. But the best way to overcome this, and while I wanted to paint the reality of the situation, I wanted to paint the common thing that we go through as humans, there is a solution. And that solution is, my friend, you must change your identity. Your identity is this invisible force. It's how you see yourself interacting with your world. When you step into something new, your identity hasn't followed yet, okay? So that's why you feel like an imposter to begin with. But the good news is you can overcome that by changing your identity. And there's 3 different tactics I'm going to showcase how. The first tactic is you need to increase your knowledge or authority, as Dr. Robert Cialdini says, who's the author of Influence. And when you learn more and become a subject matter expert, you gain more knowledge, you gain more confidence, and you gain more authority. And no, I'm not referring you need to go out and get a 4-year education. In fact, there's a few people that are engineers or lawyers that you need a 4-year degree, but the vast majority, my recommendation is don't do that, okay? That can be a waste of time and a huge waste of money, especially as tuition has gone bonkers, okay? But what I am encouraging you to do is go to a trade school. Okay, go to a local workshop. There's so many online courses that are valuable that you can learn the information you need. Say you want to be a chiropractor. There's some awesome chiropractor, courses that you can figure out online just to get your base there. Or maybe a better example, if you want to be a fitness professional, you don't need to get a 4-year kinesiology degree. If you do, great. But you know what? You can enroll yourself to become a personal trainer through ACE or through National Academy of Sports Medicine to really start the foundation of learning. If you want to be a nutrition coach, there's an incredible amount of workshops. You can learn nutrition, the basics of macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, fats. This is all important. You need to know, especially if you're going to launch a business in that particular industry. But the good news is you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours, but you need to spend some dedicated time, okay, to start learning and gaining more knowledge. And that is the first tactic within the strategy of changing your identity, which will help you to do so. By gaining more knowledge, you're going to gain more confidence, you're going to gain more authority, which will help shape your identity. So that's tactic number 1. Tactic number 2 is changing your environment, your environmental exposure. This is everything, my friends. And when you're charting into a new endeavor, you need to change your environment, okay? The best way to do this is listening to awesome podcasts like the FCEO Podcast and many more, different books and different other, networking groups that you can join to really surround yourself with people who are already doing it, who are already in the industry. As an example, okay, if you want to be a nutrition coach, there's nutrition masterminds where you can go, we can learn, and then you also meet with other nutritionists. And when you start learning, okay, about nutrition and meeting other people that are doing what you want to do, your temperature rises, your belief rises. In fact, there's a very famous example of this. We all know, or maybe you don't, but Roger Bannister, who was an English runner, and he was the first man to break the 4-minute mile. In years before that, decades before that, in fact, physicians and doctors said it was impossible for the human body to run 1 mile in under 4 minutes. That was literally the belief for a long period of time until Roger Bannister did it. And he ended up crossing with, I think, 1 second to spare. And the crazy thing is he broke the world record. He broke the 4-minute mile, but that's not even the craziest thing. The craziest thing is what happened afterwards, because shortly thereafter, within the first year, like dozens of people did it. They saw that belief. They changed their environment. They changed their context. They really tapped into Roger Bannister's, his environment exposure, which created more belief, which increased their thermostat, their internal identity, and that's made all the difference. So by far, number 2, your bullet point, your takeaway is changing your environment will definitely increase your thermostat. It'll increase your belief, and it'll increase your identity. And the last thing, the most important thing, because let's face it, gaining more knowledge is important. Creating more confidence and authority is important. Changing your environment and getting better environment exposure is super important to change your identity. But nothing else matters unless you enact the third tactic, which is you must take action. You must take the leap of faith. You must get off the sideline, and you must do the thing, my friend, because guess what? I can learn about how to become a personal trainer, but until I actually took action and started doing it, I didn't really know. I could learn what it was like to be on the outside of a gym owner, but until I took the leap of faith and launched my business, it was for naught. I could learn in theory how to become a vice president and then eventually a CEO of an international fitness franchise. But until I did the work and started doing, nothing else would have changed. And my friend, that is my message for you. In order to truly change your identity, yes, you need to gain the knowledge. Yes, you need to gain the authority. Yes, you need to gain the confidence. Yes, you need to change your environmental exposure. But most importantly, you need to get off the sidelines. You need to stop with the analysis by paralysis. And you need to do the damn thing and freaking take action and take the leap of faith for the betterment of you and for the people that you serve. So that, my friends, and as we wrap up this episode, this is the secret sauce to overcoming the analysis by paralysis by changing your identity, and you do that through the tactics that we discussed today. My friends, I know you got a ton of value. Assuming you did, my call to action, my simple request, go ahead and like this video. That would mean a lot. As we sign off today in this episode, I want to remind you that no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself, and the time is now. We'll see you in the next episode.